bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One.
Segmer's got there, Marquinhos! He's been knocking on the door! He knocks it down!
Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines.
You are ripping and roaring today.
This is USL All Access.
It's almost impossible to recreate that level of magic.
With Mike Watts and Devon Kerr on SiriusXM FC.
Welcome, everybody, to USL All Access on this beautiful Tuesday evening, July 16th, 2024. Do not be confused by the backdrop. No, it is not the normal cave that is the 7x7 cube that I've been demoted to at my own home. Instead, it's someone else's home. Haven't figured out yet, just randomly wandered into it. However, my good buddy Tyler Terrence is in the other room, and yes, I have commandeered his bedroom. I'd give you a tour, but I don't want to get myself into trouble. I don't think he wants to get himself into trouble. And at the end of it, nobody really wants to hear either one of us talking because we've got a great show for you tonight. Two big interviews on the docket. We've got Gavin Glinton, head coach of the Oakland Roots, streaking across the Western Conference that currently sees them second overall. It's the highest they've ever been in the USL Championship. 7 wins over the last 12 games. One of the best run of forms that they've ever seen in the history since joining USL Championship in 2021. Yes, in fact, the second interview is Cam Lindley, of the same Cam Lindley, of the same Indy 11 that took down Atlanta United in the quarterfinals of the Open Cup, becoming the second USL Championship team to reach the semifinals in the past 3 iterations of the tournament. Not too shabby for a lower division squad. We'll dig into what his career has been. You know, hard to believe, by the way, that he's only 26 years old. Happy early birthday, 2 days from now. But the guy's been around MLS, USL for 8 seasons. Still a lot of growth to be there. He'll talk about the turnaround in Indy under head coach Sean McCauley. We're going to dive into what it looks like in both the East and Western Conference. We're going to preview the weekend's match. That is an interesting rivalry. Sacramento Republic is going to visit Oakland Roots. Sac, great start to the year. 11 games unbeaten. That was tied for 6th best at that point in time. It hasn't been so kind since then. After their Open Cup win in the round of 16 against San Jose, they've struggled mightily. Roro Lopez has gone down. Russell Cicerone had gone down just prior to that. They did bring in Justin Portillo, but they're really struggling for that attacking piece. Rumors galore about more players coming in. Who knows? Maybe we can talk to Mark Briggs in the meantime and figure out as to whether or not some of those are true. Mike Watts, still gone on sabbatical, out walking that damn cat. And who knew that you could take 2 weeks off in the middle of the season and no one would be wiser? One day, someone can explain to me how you get that kind of schedule. I guess if you're established in 2015 in the USL, you can do that. A lonely servant since 2018. I do not have the ability to do so. What else are we missing? Not that much has happened in the Eastern Conference, to be fair. A lot is very similar to what has been over the past couple of weeks. Louisville City, still sitting atop, struggling a little bit, a couple of losses over the last 5, but still with that 1-point lead, still with at least 1 game in hand on all competition in the Eastern Conference. New Mexico United still cruising right along, 4 wins in their last 5. They did exit the Open Cup last week. LAFC on the road at BMO was too much, too early, and they could not stop the streaking Steve Cherundolo's. It's not really streaking when you're just good all the time, but hey, we had to throw in some sort of verbiage to keep you listening. Oakland Roots, we mentioned they moved up the Western Conference into second. 901 FC, quietly, by the way, quietly under Stephen Glass, have done some really good things there. We're going to try and get him in the next 2 weeks. I have put out feelers. We'll see if the olive branch is actually extended on their end as well, or if they chop me down and, we make wine out of olives, or olives out of wine. How does that work? I'm not really sure. Stick around. Again, Cam Lindley just around the corner. Gavin Glinton of the Oakland Roots. This is USL All Access on Tuesday, July 16th, 2024.
Let's get back to USL All Access on SiriusXM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody, to USL All Access on this beautiful Tuesday evening, July 16th. God knows what year it is, to be honest. I barely know what day it is because I'm all over the map. It doesn't really matter where I am because, as I expressed in segment 1, the most important thing, as it was last week, as Mike Watts is out walking the cat, I wanted to make sure you heard the least amount of my voice, so I've set up a couple of interviews. Had two great segments last week. We had Peter Trevisani, owner and CEO of New Mexico United. We also had Don Donovan, general manager of Sacramento Republic. As requested, as mentioned, desired, whatever it may be, this week, two beautiful voices. The first one, Cam Lindley of Indy 11, coming off a hot U.S. Open Cup. People are going to call it an upset. I'm going to disagree with that, but we'll get there in a second. Cam, always grateful for the time, buddy. How you doing, man? Where are you, by the way?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're sitting outside here at training facility, a little bit of breeze. I wouldn't have done this yesterday. I wouldn't have sat outside, but I figured, you know what? Might as well sit out here and enjoy the weather while I talk to you.
The weather not so kind yesterday. Was it wet yesterday? Was it hot? Walk us through what training was like.
Yeah, so super hot. Actually had a day off, which was nice. It was a long week for us, so getting back into it today. And the weather's great. Grass is wet, so today's going to be a fun session for the boys. So
love that. Put it on the deck, and you can line someone up from 10 yards away. Take off your feet and have a go. Have a go.
yeah, you can.
Love that. Well, for people that don't know, who have lived under a rock and don't know MLS, don't know USL Championship, Cam Lindley, holding midfielder currently of Indy 11. I mentioned they did take down Atlanta United in the quarterfinal of U.S. Open Cup last week. We're going to get to that in a second, buddy. The journey that you've been on, UNC Tar Heel, right? Drafty in MLS. You've been in USL. You've experienced multiple levels of this pyramid. It finally has you at a stop at Indy 11. Correct me if I'm wrong, and not only are you from that area, I believe your wife is from the area as well. So a little bit of a homecoming for you coming back in 2023. What's the journey been like for you over the past 18 months with Indy 11?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. You know, when we came in, the club hadn't been to playoffs in a few years. Things were kind of on a down. So came in, we had our first child, so it was cool for me to get back here and do that. But, came in playing under Mark Lowry. I enjoyed myself. It was a fun year. We got ourselves back into the playoffs. But the club went a different direction and brought in Sean, and, he's been fantastic. And I think he's adapted to this league brilliantly. He signed great players that, know how to perform in this league. And we're seeing results. And the fans are happy, people are happy, and obviously us players are happy to win.
Let's stay on you for a second before we get to the team, the Open Cup run, this, that, and the other. I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I apologize if I get anybody wrong or out of order. When you're drafted to Orlando in 18 and 19, that was the changeover where you experienced on the backside of that. You had James O'Connor, who was obviously at Louisville, who had come there, but you were out on loan with St. Louis in 18, and was it Memphis in 19? Is that correct?
Yeah, so 18 was a weird year for me because I started under Jason Christ, played some games, knew that we were going to sign a guy by the name of Uri Rossell from Barca B, knew that he was going to come in and I was going to kind of, be mentored by him and whatnot. That didn't go to plan. Jason Christ ultimately got fired. James O'Connor came in. So then I didn't really see many minutes. So I went to St. Louis. I actually just went for one game. So it was just we're just a training player with the likes of like Richie Larea, who's now, captain in the Canadian national team here the other night. And then in 19, the club felt it was best for me to go to Memphis and play meaningful minutes. Thought I had a decent season. Then obviously Pareja came in after that. So it didn't line up for me in MLS. But yeah, and obviously that kind of stung a little bit. But, I think it was great for me because it was the first time in my career I was kind of like on the outside looking in. So it was a test of character. And yeah, so I'm happy I went through that. And obviously everything's worked out the way it should.
Jason Christ, James O'Connor, Mulqueen in Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, Martin Rennie, your first go-around in Indy in the 2020 COVID season, then Alan Marcina in San Antonio in 2021. You were under the tutelage of Brendan Burke, Colorado Springs in 22 when he took that project over. And then as mentioned, back to Indy 11 in 2023, which we'll get to your new manager a second. You already mentioned Mark Lowry. Selfishly as a player, when you're going through this process of maturing, understanding what the pro landscape is like, trying to be comfortable within your own skin, yet all of these moving pieces around you, that can't be very difficult, and certainly not in the role that you play where you have to control so much of the team within the center of the park. What's that like for someone in the developmental process? Because if people don't know, although you've been around a long time, you're still only 26 years of age.
Yeah, it's a crazy stat, and I'm not sure many players can say this, but I've literally played for a new manager every single year of my professional career. Wow. So not having that consistency has been really, really tough. But also, I think it's made me into the player I am. I'm able to adapt on the pitch very quickly because, every year, preseason is different. The style of play is different. So for me, if things change, it's no problem. It's just a breeze and you go ahead and do the next thing. I'm hoping there's going to be consistency here with Sean. I think he's great for the group. So I'm hoping, there'll be a process where I can build with him and, we can add new things into my game and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely been tough. And I'm sure that's a stat that not many players can say have happened to them.
That's pretty staggering. Let's talk about that transition. So you come back to Indy 11 in 2023. Mark Lowry, the then manager, you guys finish on 49 points, 6th in the Eastern Conference. Heck of a run at the end of the year, by the way, to not only get yourselves up above the line, but get into that quality form. The club decides to go another direction. Mark Lowry has a very distinct style, as a lot of managers do. But in the changeover from Mark Lowry to Sean McCauley, who comes in and is at the helm now for Indy 11 in 2024, we've seen some very big differences. A lot of it seems to be a little bit more aggressive, tactfully, want to be not necessarily direct, but play the game a little bit higher, maybe be on the ball a little bit less. That currently has you sitting on 31 points, 4th in the Eastern Conference. And as we alluded to at the beginning, a great Open Cup run that sees you in the Final Four, and you'll be able to tackle that in about 3 weeks' time. In your opinion, what is the biggest change that you guys have gone through as a group that has allowed you, at least until this point, to have a little bit more success early on?
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. The intensity, the aggressiveness that we play with is just a bit different. And, we hear that word direct come from a lot of people and kind of sits us the wrong way because we have great footballers. So we don't feel like we're playing direct. We're just playing to get into the other people's half, and some teams press us really high. So when you got the likes of, Augie Williams, one of the youngest to, get to 60 goals in the league, you got Douglas Martinez, you got guys like that up there and they're 1v1, you take advantage of those opportunities, right? So if you're going to leave those players 1v1, we're just going to go ahead and say, hey, you know what? Take this, go after them. So that's been the biggest change. And obviously I think, we press with Mark, but not like this. I mean, we really press, we really go for it. We leave our center backs 1v1 a lot, trying to win the ball and get the goal. So yeah, it's been great. And, the culture thing is tough, right? So when managers come in and stuff like that, but he's built a culture where it's next man up. It doesn't matter. You got guys of, Jack Blake, Aiden Quince, like, some of the best players in this league that haven't been able to, step on the field as much as we want them to. And, you got guys coming in and, they don't miss a beat. So I think that's been a big difference as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that direct word. It's funny because I said it's not direct, right? But a lot of people describe it that way. But the way that I look at it for you as an individual and how you probably acclimatized a little bit quicker, at least in my opinion, you had Alan Marcina in 2021 in San Antonio. You had Brendan Burke in Colorado Springs in 22. It's kind of taking those two styles together, blending them. And for you, especially with the pieces around you, that had to be an easy transition, respectfully, because of the ideas and how they blend, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember sitting through the meetings in the preseason, and I said, I've seen a lot of this before, playing under the managers I've played under. So, I've had good seasons with them, and especially that Colorado season, having the likes of the Hodges and stuff like that. Obviously we got some really good players here too, but I really thrived in that kind of system. So, yeah, it's been good. It was an easy transition, and obviously, we're sitting in a good place in the table, but big one this upcoming weekend to hopefully hop them again. So
talking to Cam Lindley, midfielder for Indy 11. Again, Indy 11, 31 points, 4th in the Eastern Conference in the USL Championship. Let's discuss the group. You mentioned a couple of the guys. It's an interesting group to me because you've got a manager whose first experience, at least as a head coach, obviously he knows the league, in the USL Championship is with you guys. So it's kind of like, okay, what's that going to be like? But then you've got veterans like yourself, which is still weird to say. Happy early birthday, by the way, because you turned 27 in 2 days. You're 26 years old, but you've been around and seen so much. And you've got guys like Sebe Guenzati. You've got the 3rd youngest goal scorer to get to 50 goals in USL Championship history in Augie Williams. And then you've got a child in goal, respectfully, and Hunter. So, right, and in a good way. The kid's gigantic. He's incredible. But you've got a blend of a little bit of everything. And I only named a couple of the guys. So what's the group like? Give everybody a little peek behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think, we have a lot of veterans. We also got some young guys. I think they've done a good job kind of blending the roster. Young guys that are hungry and old guys that know the league. So that's been good. It's funny, because everyone gets along. And, I actually speak with Hunter the other day. He's like, this is one of the first teams I've been around where everyone, enjoys each other. And as you know, being in a locker room, like that's not always the case, So Everyone genuinely enjoys each other here. We get along. There's good banter. Training's always at a high level. So it's like, it's tough because, obviously you have your veterans and stuff, but the young guys are coming. They're pushing, and it's really good. What makes us be better on a daily basis. So when we get to those games, we're definitely prepared.
Love that. Couple of guys in the locker room. I think a lot of people, rightfully so, are going to look at the relationship as this system under Sean McCauley has evolved, and they're going to look at Jack Blake and kind of how you guys, the dynamics that you have, the way you move off of each other, the freedom is the word that I like to use that you give each other. Jack's obviously hurt right now, making his way back from injury. Lawrence Wotton has stepped in, rookie out of Ohio State. Can you maybe give us an idea of what it's like playing with both of them and the differences between the two that can you still find a way to have success, whether the one's there or the other?
Yeah. So with Blakey, obviously he's, I think Jack's best qualities are in and around the box, great goal scorer, great final pass. So with him, it's a little bit more I sit and kind of let him go where he wants to go. And I know that he's going to make the right decisions in terms of being around the box. His record shows that he got great goals, this year. And then with Lawrence is a bit different. He's a bit more combative, I would say. I mean, Jack's obviously a great tackler and stuff, but Lawrence is a bit more up and down. So that allows me to kind of go a bit more. We bounce each other off a little bit. And yeah, obviously it's worked. We try to stay as close together as we can because we know we can play quick, tight 1-2s. We're going to get out. And with Blakey, my whole job is just trying to get him 30, 35 yards in it and then say, hey, this is what I know you're good at. So go ahead and get it done.
Talking with Cam Lindley of the USL Championship, Indy 11 in the Eastern Conference, 4th overall right now. Let's discuss the match that was. I mentioned at the beginning of this to everyone, people are going to call it a cup set. It's one of my favorite words. Love to throw it around. I personally didn't feel that way. Actually felt like when you went by the level of what you guys were putting out, as well as what Atlanta United were dealing with. They lost their coach, Gonzalo Pineda. They had just sold Yakumakis, their 9 up top. They had just sold Thiago Almada. The rumors were swirling, can now confirm that Caleb Wiley, that was actually his last game, is now going to be off to Chelsea, although probably going to be sent on loan to Strasbourg. They weren't playing well. Their biggest pieces were gone. They didn't have a manager on the sideline. To me, you take that quality that they were missing and combine with the level you guys were bringing. I didn't think of it as an upset. How did you guys feel going into that match based upon what you heard and what everybody was saying?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. That's exactly how we felt. We looked at the guys that were kind of leaving and the guys that, possibly they could have played. We didn't know if we were going to get a second team or a first. We just didn't know, obviously with everything going through their run of form in the league. And, even when we saw the team come through, we were happy because it was a strong team. But
Yep.
We were excited that we got to play against them because we knew we were in a good place. We knew we performed, to the way we play in USL. We knew we could get a result. So we went into that game, and obviously, the adrenaline, you put a bit more into a match like that against an MLS team. But I truly believe we expected to win that game, and we would have been disappointed if we did not, come away with the win like we did.
Second half, certainly different than the first. Not saying that's a negative thing, but in the game against Atlanta United, also, I didn't even mention talking about, kind of some of the assets that they have. They didn't have Mercedes-Benz. They were at Kennesaw State. Different environment for sure, but the opening 45 minutes, I thought you guys were incredible. I thought that the way that you moved the ball, the physicality, the energy, there was no chance whatsoever that if you took someone outside of USL and MLS, a fly on the wall in Europe that had never heard of either league, you put them in that stadium, you would never know that one team played in MLS, one team was at home, so on and so forth. Augie Williams grabs the opening goal in the 31st minute. Beautiful interchange. Ben Ufemo off the back line, ball down into the corner. Douglas Martinez, his patience, the combination. Locker room. What is Sean McCauley saying to you guys to help get you over the line in the second 45 minutes?
Yeah, that we played well. Obviously, happy to get a goal. Just another message of listen, like we can play with these guys. We're we feel as a group, as an 11, as an 18, we're better than these guys. So just continuing to say that. But he also said they're gonna come. They're gonna put a push in. They're gonna bring subs off the bench, and it's gonna be a tough second half. So do whatever you need to do to get over the line. And guys are throwing their bodies all over the place. Solt with an unbelievable save there, coming off the ball from Dax. So just, guys stepped up and, obviously getting that own goal and the whatever minute it was kind of felt like it put it to bed, but it got nervy there at the end as well. So
can you describe what it meant to you in your career to get a result like that in that moment? And the reason I'm prefacing it that way is having seen so much, both at the collegiate and professional level so far. You've seen a ton of games. You've had an Open Cup run of sorts before. You've certainly had runs in the USL Championship playoffs, and most notably for me, Colorado Springs a couple years ago. Like, where does that rank for you, and what did it feel like?
Yeah, it was incredible. Just obviously it's a bit different when it's with Indy 11, because that's my local club, that's my team. So it meant a lot. I knew just with everything going on with the club as well that the fans need something to cling on to. So it was pretty unique. And yeah, I'm super happy. And obviously, that was amazing, and we're looking forward to getting a chance at Kansas City coming the end of August.
So I talked about Jack Blake being injured. Callan Chapman-Page has worked his way back. You've still got Maka King, who's coming back as well. There's more quality to be had for this team that has already seen success, that had a 8-game win streak. Am I correct?
I think eight wins, but I think it was maybe 11 or 12 unbeaten or something.
12 unbeaten, and it was only one loss in 14 in all competitions or something like that. But I don't do well with numbers in general. I apologize.
Neither do I. We just go to the next game. We just say, okay, that one's done. Let's go again.
That's right. So I'll phrase it this way. Are you guys missing anything? And just quality is one thing, and continue to take steps together. But in terms of the roster, do you feel like this is the group, or do you think that something needs to be added?
No, I think we got everything we need here in the locker room and the gym. We don't need anything else. And in my personal opinion, obviously things change. My job is to go out there and perform the best I can to help the team win. But I feel like we have everything in there, and like you said, we're only going to get better. I mean, we have some of the best players in the entire league that we are not fielding right now. So when we get those guys back, I think we're just going to raise our level, raise our quality, and that intensity that we play with. It's going to remain, but also we're going to get some extreme quality. We'll score more goals, and that's what we want to do.
I've always admired your dedication to kind of the here and now, putting blinders on. When you and I chat behind the scenes, we're always talking about what's going on right now, because it would be easy to look down the line 6 games from now and what is going to be your semifinal match on August 27th against Sporting Kansas City on the road. But you've got a big one on the weekend, Tampa Bay Rowdies. You are getting the opportunity to have that top 4 matchup that everybody covets, right? And we didn't necessarily see it at the beginning of the year. What does it take for you guys to get a result this weekend against the Rowdies?
Yeah, we're gonna have to, be at our best. They're obviously firing. They got some amazing players. Guys like Cal Jennings, Arteaga. Obviously, the midfield's great as well. So, they're firing on all cylinders, coming off a great win against Orange County. So for us, we're gonna have to defend really well, figure out how to deal with Cal. And if we can do that, I like our chances going forward. So we just got to score a few goals.
Just a fun one on the way out. 169 appearances in all competitions at any level, 5 goals, 28 assists. Why is it, though, that when I watch you strike a ball, you ping a ball better than most guys that I know, whether it's a 40-yard ball down into the corner, a 5-yard, 2 feet away, whatever, with a guy stepping through, and a couple of set pieces? What do we got to do to get you moving up that golden boot chart, man? I need some more goals on that resume, buddy.
I know you gotta tell Blakey and Quinny and all these guys to stop being so good on dead balls and stuff like that, or else I get a chance, But no, obviously I play my role with whatever team I'm in. And this one is just keep it ticking. In plays when I need to, and help those top players that we have in the front 4 and 5 get their chances. So that's my job with this team.
Now's your time, by the way. Shout out to Aiden Quinn, by the way. I do apologize, brother, that I did not include you in the injured group before. But Aiden Quinn's off, Jack Blake's off. Now could be your time. Strike through, strike while the iron's hot. Cam, an absolute pleasure, man. Always appreciate your game. Love what you guys are doing in Indy. It's great to see another USL Championship team make a run in the Open Cup. Thank you so very much for your time, and good luck on the weekend against the Rowdies, bud.
Devin, I really appreciate you guys.
There goes Cam Lindley, midfielder, Indy 11. Again, quality form, and that's probably not putting it fair given how well they've played, the run that they've been on, and everything that they've done. Stick around, just around the corner. Told you we'd have another guest. Gavin Glinton of the Oakland Roots joins us. He's going to talk the fine form turnaround for them in the Western Conference that, still, as I look at the table now, is shocking in the best of ways. They are sitting second right now on 29 points behind New Mexico United. On the weekend, big one, big CBS, Sacramento Republic. That's a 2-3 matchup that we're going to get on big CBS. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk to Gavin Glinton, head coach of the Oakland Roots when we come back.
giving insight to all the biggest moments in Championship and League One. This is USL All Access on SiriusXM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody. USL All Access. What an interview. What a guy. Cam Lindley, Indy 11, an Open Cup run that has been great to watch so far, an Eastern Conference form that has been excellent to watch as well. And who knows what the future holds for them. They're obviously doing great things there. But I'm not here to talk about the Eastern Conference. We're here to talk about the Western Conference. Gone are the days of the frontrunners, if you will. No longer is it just Orange County and Phoenix Rising sitting atop the West. We've got new boys on the block. We've got guys that have been doing the work for quite some time. And while maybe the results haven't exactly mirrored what's going on in the community, finally, they've got the perfect pairing in every way, shape, and form. Compliments galore. We can talk about players. It's the coaching staff. It's everything. But we're going to start with the man who is at the top. He's been at the helm for a couple of months now, Gavin Glinton, who took over in April. First game was actually in May. Head coach of the Oakland Roots will do battle on the weekend. Big CBS, I might add. 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Gavin's kind enough to join us. Gavin, I'm not sure if you had some sort of sentence to get on here with me or if you actually being a nice guy. Thank you, first and foremost, and how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, Dev. Thanks for having me, man.
Always, bud. Always. For people that don't know, Gavin Glinton obviously spent a lot of time in the United States pyramid. He's been involved certainly at the MLS for quite a few years. A brief taste of USL back in the late 2000s. Carolina Railhawks, one of my favorite clubs, by the way. Love that name. Represented your country, Turks and Caicos. By the way, did not realize that you are a Bradley Brave alum. That is a solid shout, my man. Aiden Quinn is sitting somewhere wanting to hook up with you. You got to get him to the Western Conference, dude.
Anytime.
That's awesome. Coaching journey, Sac Republic, New Mexico, certainly Oakland as an assistant until recently taking over from Noah Delgado. I guess I would start here. When you finished playing in 2011, you didn't go into coaching right away. Kind of give me an idea of what your journey was like from, at least from the bio that I've been given, from the end of your playing career until reaching the United States and coaching here.
No, I mean, it was basically just after my sister passed away and I kind of came back. But after 2004, I broke my ankle twice and I left, and I had actually started coaching at my alma mater as an assistant for 2 years before coming back in, then playing in Charleston. So then when everything was kind of finished, I went in and basically took maybe 6 months off, but I went in and just started coaching at a youth club in the Bay Area, picked up 2 teams, and then became technical director, gave my job away to Gordon Young from Motherwell Academy to understudy for him for a year. And then I went and moved on to the Republic as an academy coach for a couple of years, came back, finished there, and then went to New Mexico as an assistant for Troy, came back to Sacramento and was at Sac United for 2 years as a DOC. And then, was in Argentina and came on as Noah got the head job here. So it's been a lot of coaching for the last few years.
The biggest difference for you in terms of the growth that you experienced as a player compared to what you experienced as a coach and how that maybe affected the way that you see the game?
Yeah, I think it's a huge, being able to go and have the time coaching and then come back as a player definitely expands the way you see the game and you see it very differently. I would say it was very valuable. Injuries took care of the rest, but, this game has given me, a lot. And I remember every coach that's come through and affected my life. And it's allowed me to fill out a passport and travel the world and play in Major League Soccer and USL. And so, it's just, happy to be able to give back.
Love that. We're speaking with Gavin Glinton, head coach of the Oakland Roots, currently sitting second in the Western Conference on 29 points. Just 5 points back, albeit a couple of games in hand for New Mexico United, who's in first place. Gavin, I'm kind of curious the timeline and how it played out for you guys behind the scenes. Great people within the club, great culture. I alluded to that at the beginning of it. Whether it was Jordan Farrell or Juan Guerra or Noah Delgado, the thing that's always struck me about the people that work within the club prior to you taking the reins was such good people, right? Like the club, in my opinion, does such a good job at recruiting excellent people, as well as sportsmen. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way that Noah wanted at the beginning of this season. Results were scarce. There was only 2 wins through 9 matches. The club decides to make a change. Can you kind of just describe how that process played out? And ultimately, although everybody thinks they want to be in that position, it's not always easy to jump into it in that situation, right?
Yeah, I mean it's bittersweet first and foremost. You know, you come on with Noah and say first and foremost, we're all part of the reason that we were where we were, right? And that's never on one person. So there's that factor is, you know, at the end of the day, we're all part of the blame for our current situation. And then, you know, then you realize that there's no time to really feel sorry for yourself, as we've got games the following week and you've got to get to work, and that's, you know, the nature of the business. And so that's, you know, what we've been doing ever since then. The staff, the players have just been putting their head down, and, you know, we didn't have time to feel sorry for ourselves because there's another big team coming every week, and we've just, you know, been focused on the process.
Love that. Well said. I referenced the start 2-5-2 actually averages out to 0.88 points. Excuse me, 0.88 points per game. 12 games since you took over on that first match in early May. You guys have 7 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. 1.83 points per game. I'm no mathematician. Everybody at home knows that. If you don't know that, now you do. That's 0.95 jump. That's massive. Easy to say that's massive. 1.83 cruises you into the playoffs. I guess my question would be is, given all those statistics, can you kind of describe to everyone in your eyes where the biggest changes have taken place to allow you guys to soar up the Western Conference?
I think it's just been in attention to detail. We've talked about that in all facets of the game. I think there's been, you know, a really good competition on the field for spots as well. That's been driving guys. But I think, you know, we've all had to take on, you know, a little bit extra. I think our ability to just kind of focus and get on in the process of the way we've been training, the way we've been doing our video sessions, the way guys have been. Yeah, I've been taking on information and making it theirs. I think has been, you know, key to what we're doing. And we, you know, the next step is making sure that we continue those standards in that process.
Let's have a little fun here. Elevator pitch me. And when I mean me, I mean everybody. You know, you walk in the elevator. Hey, what do you do for a living? I'm a coach of Oakland Roots. Oh, I love football. I've heard about you guys in USL. Tell me what your team looks like. Describe to everybody in a perfect world what a Gavin Glinton system looks like and what your team looks like over 90 minutes on the field.
Okay. If you want to, we're going to take out last weekend, of course. We want to be the team that's proactive. We want to have the ball and be creating chances and forcing oppositions to have to worry about us. On the defensive side of the ball, we want to make things uncomfortable for them and force teams to play in a way that they don't like to play. At the end of the day, you know, we want teams walking off the field being like, that sucked. We don't want to have to face them again. You know, we want to be very aggressive and varied about how we get at teams, but we want to be yeah, I mean, everyone says it, right? It's all, I'm going to hit all the buzzwords that every other coach is going to hit. We want to be proactive. We want to be ball dominant. We want to be, you know, defensively aggressive. Yeah, we want, I mean, for us, again, we want to mimic the spirit of our city, of our town, and of our people. We want to be a team that's energetic and attractive and getting after you and a little bit nasty. You know what I mean? And tough. And so, yeah, we want, you know, our fans give us a lot of energy, and we want to make sure that we reciprocate that.
You guys you've certainly been able to do that. I think the key thing for me here is, out of all due respect to other teams that you have played, it's not just the wins, but it's the competition you've been able to do against. One of the few that have been able to put a blemish on Louisville City's resume, for instance, although things did start out really well for Sacramento Republic and maybe the results haven't gone the way they've liked, they're not exactly dropping losses left and right? So you guys have handed them a loss as well, and I'm sure you guys take a lot of pride in that. When I look at the roster, in previous years, it always felt like to me that there was so much talent, but I don't want to say it lacked cohesion, but maybe that is the best way to describe it. I just feel like when I look at the group now, you guys have a little bit of everything, right? You've got young players that you've been able to promote through the youth systems in your academy. You've got veterans that have seen the highest of highs, not just in USL Championship, but certainly MLS backgrounds, right? You've got Paul Blanchett in goal. You've got guys like Napo Masoso, Lino Mfeka that understand it. Johnny Rodriguez finally starts to feel a little bit comfortable, regardless of his positioning, playing up higher on the width. It feels like for the first time, again, in my humble opinion, that since this team came in 2021, you guys can kind of hit every single position on the field, and you have depth to back it up. You agree with that?
Agreed. I think, one of our big things is we've talked about being variable and being dynamic. We've asked guys to do things in some different positions. We've asked guys to play in different formations, and they've done that. And I think they've done that well into a way that we can really, start to think about how we can weaponize this against certain opponents or certain objectives that we're trying to get. You said it. There's a number of different ways we can play. We have a different number of weapons, and we can use them differently, and depending on the day or the matchup. So I think, credit to the guys being able to drag themselves out of their comfort zones and do things that maybe they haven't been used to, but also making it theirs and coming through it in a way that gives us, you said it, lots of different options.
There was one thing, and I'm referencing the culture here as we kind of lean into. It's still obviously relevant for the club, but things that have gone off the field as well. I'll never forget in 2021 when Jordan Farrell took over. Obviously, Jordan Farrell now, for people that don't know, in the front office, technical director. Such a, again, in my opinion, humble, brilliant mind that sees the game in a variety of ways, that sees 4, 5, 6 steps down the line. And I'll never forget when he stepped away from a decently successful run at the end of your guys' first tenure in 2021. And he stepped away and he said, listen, that's not me. That's not where I'm going to find success. Most importantly, I feel like I can do more off the field and help us find success on the field with someone else at the helm. We interviewed him at winter meetings that year, and I was quite taken by that because many a person, as you know, in the footballing world, even if they get a little bit of taste of success, they want to keep that role going. But that wasn't the case for Jordan Farrell. And that's not the case of this club either. This club is bigger than 90 minutes. It's bigger than any player, any person. And the way that it resonates within the community is almost difficult to put into words and even compare it to any other club around the USL Championship. Always community driven. There's music, there's artwork, there's branding, but it always centers around this tight-knit community and bringing the fans to the club and just finding a way to intertwine all of that. That growth has been exponential over the past couple of years. In your eyes, and you've had a pretty good seat in with all of this, how do you feel like the club has been able to maintain success and continue to take such positive strides?
It's beautiful, isn't it? We talk about it all the time. I've worked with Jordan, obviously. I've worked with him at the Republic and the Academy for quite a bit. We did the double pass together. He came over and, we went to Bilbao and studied over there. And, there where you see, the infrastructure and how it's all done for the community and how tight-knit the community. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had is going and watching, Bilbao and how they do it and how they only bring over the best players. And I think, that's something that resonated certainly with Jordan in terms of his ideas and project and what he wanted to see in terms of a club in Oakland, which I think is huge. Football clubs are built on the community. The historic ones, the ones that last, are always built with a tie that's beyond football to their fans, to the community, to the members it represents. And this club does so much in terms of its community involvement. And you can see, especially in a time when everybody's trying to get out of the area, this club is committed to not only staying in the area, but putting in programs to help and innumerable ways to help the people of Oakland. And I think, the people, they connect with that. And when you're when in this city, sports are huge and they can move the community. And I think, that's what they're trying to do. And I think, every step they've taken has been with that in mind, with their core values. And I think that's been beautiful.
I want to go a little bit higher up here. You talked about kind of for you and for Jordan, an opportunity to experience growth somewhere else, to see what their success looked like, obviously to now translate that to your local community. Do you feel like there is an area within the USL Championship that if you had the opportunity to help continue growth league-wide to help affect all clubs, do you feel like there's an area that maybe we're missing, or that we're missing an opportunity that's currently there to capitalize on that?
I'd probably, before I start acting as if I know, I would definitely need to look in deeper. But you see the clubs, and I obviously think the model and the USL model and where they're trying to put clubs in the communities that they're trying to engage is a fantastic start. You see the club connections. Obviously, I spent some time in New Mexico United, and they're doing an absolutely unbelievable job with their community outreach and everything that they're doing and building into the communities as well. I think these two clubs are, and they're not the only ones, but I think are a very, very good example of what football in this country can be, and building lifelong ties to your fans and clubs. So, I'd be talking out of my ass if I pretended like I know what needs to happen next, but without a deeper look.
By the way, speaking of which, New Mexico United, just tying all this together here for a second, what's Peter Trevisani putting in the water over there for you boys? Because you got yourself, you got Troy Lesane, you got Zach Prince, although you guys weren't together. Eric Quill is now there. Is there something going on behind the scenes, a little kickback to keep pushing you guys forward?
I hope so. Peter's a good guy. I enjoyed my time there. We've also got Peter Davis is our goalkeeper coach, who was with me there in 2020, and he stayed in 2021 at New Mexico as well. So yeah, you might be doing something.
Love that. Great guy. Speaking with head coach of the Oakland Roots in the USL Championship Western Conference, Gavin Glinton. Oakland Roots, Gavin alluded to it earlier. He wants to get rid of the last one against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. We're not going to release the score because it's neither here nor there. We're going to get rid of it. You want it? Go Google it. You got a big one on the weekend. Before we get into the match, that is going to be CBS, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Pacific time against Sacramento Republic. I do want to talk about one more area of growth that certainly hits home for me, but more so the opportunity that it presents for everyone. I don't think it's just within the USL pyramid. I do think it is within the game itself in this country. And it's the continued expansion, eyeballs, if you will, on the sport itself. For people that live in areas that don't necessarily know about the ecosystem, all they really know is MLS. And they haven't had an opportunity on a regular basis to see USL Championship, League One, what the system is doing with USL 2, obviously, formerly known as PDL. College is getting more looks, but all of a sudden now USL 30-plus games on national television across CBS and across ESPN platforms. Is this, while maybe not in terms of competition, is this the biggest game that the club has ever experienced in its ecosystem?
It's a great question, and I would say it's definitely a contender and a legitimate shot, right? For all of the reasons you named. It's a great opportunity to focus on, again, a budding rivalry in the USL against a very, very good team. We know that this is a big chance for us to show ourselves on national television, but at the same time, we're still focused on the process, and we're not, going to put. It's a rivalry game, so it's impossible to say you don't put more importance on it. You will. But again, we're still focused on the process. Can't get too high, can't get too low. Right now, we want to make sure we're doing the right things that are getting us to the right place in October, November. So yes, it's a big one, but we've come through, a lot of big ones, and right now every match is a big one for us. Just the way the West is, we're not in a place to overlook anything or anyone, but we are absolutely ramped up and excited for this one on the weekend.
I say this in the nicest of ways. The Western Conference in the USL Championship is a mess, and I love it. I'm here for it. It's the best. It's the closest in terms of competition that we've seen, and probably my tenure since coming in 2017. Let's talk about the match. Okay, so we get rid of the game against Pittsburgh Riverhounds. You guys are sitting second. Sac Republic not far off. I talked about their top 6 start in USL Championship history, 11 games unbeaten. They're just sitting tied on points. For people that don't know at home, the tiebreaker is actually head-to-head points earned in the regular season. Well, you guys currently hold that advantage from the 3-2 victory just a couple of weeks back. There's been 5 matches for you guys in that time frame, a couple of more for them because of Open Cup. I guess my question would be is, in your mind, in terms of scouting, what's the biggest difference between the two teams that we saw that time around compared to the teams that we're going to see on the weekend against each other?
I don't know, if there is that much, other than the fact maybe we're not sneaking up on people as much as we were. It's going to be a rivalry game, and they want to win it. They want to win every single one against us, as we want to win against them. I think obviously they're coming off an Open Cup loss, but if this is we're talking about them struggling. If this is a lull for them, it just speaks to the kind of consistency and success that they have been as an organization. So we're talking about them sitting 2 points off with games in hand and in a lull. I would love for that to be a lull when we're talking about how things are going. So I think it's going to be an absolute war, but I don't think anything changes. It's going to be a typical derby that everyone's going to go out with everything they have. It should be fun. Their fans are going to be great. Our fans are amazing. I think it should be just an absolutely fantastic day for football, and we're excited for the opportunity.
Certainly know at the helm of Oakland Roots since you've taken over in May, Gavin. I don't know if you're aware of this, but for everybody at home, the best run of form over 12 games in USL Championship history for the Oakland Roots was 22 points over 12 matches. It was 7 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. Excuse me. It was 7 wins, 2 losses, and 3 draws. That's 24 points, excuse me. You guys are currently sitting on 22 points over 12 games. So just 2 points off the best run of form in Oakland Roots history. Look forward to seeing you guys in person in a couple of days. Gavin, appreciate your time. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, Dev. Appreciate it.
There goes Gavin Glinton, head coach of the Oakland Roots. Again, they'll do battle on Big CBS. You heard that right. 1 o'clock Pacific time, 4 o'clock Eastern time, Sunday in the Western Conference battle of 2 versus 3. Stick around. We will recap the week's episode and also give a little preview of our own and talk about some of the fun individual battles for the game.
You're listening to USL All Access on SiriusXM FC. Here are your hosts, Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody, to USL All Access on this Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. I feel like when Mike Watts is out walking the cat, sabbatical, whatever we call it, we should be able to have some sort of intro that is different from his. Let's think about that. Workshop, tweet, DM, whatever the kids call it these days, at Devon Kerr 9 on Twitter. If you want to find me on Instagram, just look at my profile handle and you can bother me on that platform too. Gavin Glinton, great interview, great, even better person, I should say, behind the scenes. Oakland Roots, Sacramento Republic should be a fun one on the weekend. I tell you, looking at these two teams and what they're all about, they really couldn't be further apart in terms of stylistically what they're trying to do. Sacramento Republic, the way that they try and spread you out, they're a little bit more linear in nature, certainly hard-nosed, as is Oakland, to be fair, but they want to push you. They want to push you with the utmost tempo and make you feel uncomfortable all the time. There's a bit more of a graceful presence about the Oakland Roots and the way that they go about their business, a little bit more tactful on the ball, not being rude to the Sacramento Republic, although with the addition of Justin Portillo, that does add another layer within the midfield. But Oakland just has this grace about them to calmly move the ball side to side. And when they get Lino Mafeka and they get Johnny Rodriguez heading downhill, especially when they get them inside the box from the distribution on the outside, to me, at this point in time right now, it's really hard to argue the quality that they're bringing to the table. Sacramento Republic doesn't have the same sort of quality. Why? Well, the reason being, Robert Lopez goes down in their round of 16 match against San Jose in the Open Cup. The team has not been the same since then. I would also add, as we said earlier, Russell Cicerone and him being unavailable on the front line, his work rate, the intensity he brings, his willingness to get out of his comfort zone, to drop down underneath and get into the pocket and really make it uncomfortable for the guys that are pushing it off the back line or the deep-lying midfielders is really where Sacramento is struggling right now. Both Rodrigo Lopez and Russell Cicerone fulfill that role. And while they are very different in terms of profile of player, they both occupy the same space at the same point in time in those necessary situations. So Nick Ross had a good start to the year, but getting him up higher is much more difficult. Same conversation with Luis Felipe. The best iteration of this team does see Justin Portillo come deep down underneath and allow those two to push higher in a two-striker system. But this is going to be about a constant amount of pressure on the back lines to make them shaky, to make them cough things up, because both of these teams thrive on pressure up high, turnovers, and then their ability to counter going the other direction. We're going to see them live in action Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock Pacific time on Big CBS. It'll be the second time in USL Championship history on major network television. Third, in a few weeks' time, Detroit City will host Rhode Island FC. And, of course, the USL Championship final at the end of November. I appreciate your time. As always, I limited my voice as much as I could. Mike Watts will be back next week. Who knows? Maybe I'll go for a walkabout and bring the cat with me. Until then, this has been USL All Access, Tuesday, July 16th. Love saying the date. They tell me to say it every single time. Enjoy yourself. Stay thirsty. I'll see you out there.
This is USL All Access. If you missed any portion of the program, listen back anytime on the SXM app.